Small note to our own sponsors here on Base Trade TV. These guys do not sponsor the tournament. Oops. It's a click all over the place. These guys do not sponsor the tournament, but they sponsor us here at Base Trade TV. So big shout outs and much gusto and thank you to Cheers for Gaming for being who they are. CheersForGaming.com. Anyways, we are in game at number 1 in a fresh best of 3. It's one of the last 2 best of 3s we have today. This is the round of 8 for the Dragon Invitational. And so far we've had both San and Center get through. We'll see if, well, what this other side of the semifinals looks like. The only Zerg player in this tournament that made it to the round of 8s, having players like Life, Curious, and Revival all fall around him. He's the only Zerg player. It is my honor to introduce the Red Zerg, Ragnarok. Of course, his opponent, though, in the top right, someone we all know pretty well. We've seen his feats, his escapades. It is the light blue Protoss from My Insanity. Give it up for Stardust. So right off the bat, we see probes leaving the base. It's going to be cannons to start. I couldn't see this going any other way. It is Stardust after all. So here's how this is going to play out in a very annoying sense. Either A, Stardust actually gets a pretty good amount of damage done with the cannons. Ragnarok, no, is going hatchery first versus Stardust. Which, I mean, hatchery first isn't the end of the world. You can hold cannons off with a hatchery first, but come on, it's Stardust. You know, he gets joked around for cheese dust. He's proven that he can play the macro game, and he doesn't purely rely on cannons and cheese, but he is just going to do what he did yesterday. We saw a lot of this guys just boldly puts it in the middle of the mineral line. If things are pulled to deal with it, a second probe comes on the way. I think the best defense we saw all day yesterday was, of course, Revival pulling the drones to do the actual physical block, like the patrol moves, to make sure the cannons wouldn't go down. But Stardust is going to get cannons down, sadly. Ragnarok, well, he's in a bit of a bind. This is not a map you can easily take a third on as a skip over. I mean, you could take this base over here, but then where does he take it as quote-unquote natural, right? More drones are being pulled. I kind of fear he may have pulled a little too much. First blood does go down. He's still mining off the back end of this, but cannons are starting to get canceled, though, so it's looking not so horrible for him. If only he could clear out that wretched pylon. This one cannon may actually get to complete. It's going to be close. Probes are getting involved with the DPS. Looks like the cannon will actually complete, so there are going to be some drone deaths here, guys. 1 goes down, 2 goes down. Not going to quite get 3, but Stardust now investing in 4 more cannons behind this. Another pylon. Oh, he wants to guarantee Ragnarok is going to bleed out of this. 10lings are on the way, but 10lings aren't going to deal with this. 10lings need to go across the map, but Stardust, way to put it on next is Stardust not actually, for Ragnarok, don't go for the cannons at this point. You know, he's trying to clear it up with the lings, trying to get that DPS in there. I mean, he might clean this up, but I think it would have been a safer bet to just go for the counterattack. We'll lose 1 ling for this. Going to lose a couple more lings as the cannons start completing. Drones doing what they can. Panic is absolutely set in as these lings are struggling to get past the drones. But you know what? Not too awful of a hold. He's going to have to kill those cannons. Actually cancels them both. Stardust's going to back out for this. You know, he's killed a lot of drones. He picked up a couple of a couple of Zerglings as well. Ragnarok down to 13 workers, but you got to consider Stardust has lost 900 minerals in this assault, and he did not knock down that natural base. A lot of the times, that's kind of the end goal of this above all else. Man, this is, these lings are going to be able to get past the cannon, unless the full wall down comes. Actually, is that full? I think there's still space. No, there's not. That's actually 1 spot. Okay, so Ling's gonna back away. If he got these through, 4 would probably die, but he could run around and go to the main, possibly harass. Not gonna view that as worthwhile. Ragnarok, meanwhile, he's been droning back up to make up this difference. You know, lost some stuff here in the early game, kind of sucked, but hardly the end of the world. And yeah, Stardust in the meantime. Gonna block out that third. Such a nuisance, this guy. So let's talk about the strengths of Stardust while this goes on here, guys. I mean, Ragnarok, we'll see what he can do. He gets that third base up finally. But one of the things is Stardust, when he does cannon rushes like this, you look at this, you go like, wow, he's 1,000 in the hole. He's screwed off that, right? But he was still probing behind it. His Nexus has come down. The thing that makes Stardust so good with his cheese, and I think people really undervalue this, is that he has follow-up to it a lot of the time. You watch a majority of Protoss players out there, whether it's cannons, whether it's all-ins through gateways, it's usually that's the word, an all-in. Stardust, on the other hand, he's got plan B. He's able to actually back up and possibly recover. Okay, as stands, we're just gonna have Ragnarok sadly forced to play a bit of a passive game. Stardust does have a sneaky Stargate coming on down here. This Overlord won't probably scout it until it's already got Phoenixes and Voiders out on the map. But, yeah, he's got his drone count up to where it needs to be at the very least. One thing he's going to have to worry about, though, Coach, is army value. That's going to come into effect here in not too long. One of the nice things about Zerg is you can, of course, accelerate your economy by just droning and nothing else. But, yeah. If you just drone, you get caught with your pants down by an Oracle, by a Void Ray, by a possible Gateway follow-up. Ragnarok is still not going to scout the Stargate, so really nicely positioned here out of Stardust. Sadly, this Oracle will go unscouted and the Overlord will die for free. No relevant information gained in that attack. Or scout, rather. Sadly, this is going to be the same case with a secondary Overlord, so he doesn't quite know what's okay and what's not okay. But an Oracle is going to come down here. Well, there's not a Spore Crawler to stop this. The Queen's here. And what's kind of, I guess, frustrating is you look at this and you think, okay, the Queen can stop an Oracle, right? But there's a follow-up Oracle. And this one's going to kill about probably 5 or 6 drones and then back away before dying. Or at least that's usually ends up being the goal. So yeah, it's about 7 drones, 8 drones, and he gets away alive. Pretty good, actually. That really puts a big kill on the heavy drone count there. But the second Oracle coming out, so it makes this quite scary. So now we can tear through that Queen. Spore Crawler is still a bit of an issue. Not quite focusing on the Oracles directly. Almost gets both. Gets one, but 6 more workers die and up to 21 drones lost so far this game. Stardust still pretty relentless on the pokes, on the aggression, on the harass. Takes a third behind this so boldly, something that Ragnarok really shouldn't be letting happen, but he's been so busy dealing with the Oracles, there's no reason to send those lings up to scout, no reason to think about possibly scouting. +1 range weapons is on the way here. We're going to have Roaches out in good time, possibly Hydras to boot. But yeah, no, it's not like there's gonna be a quick 4th base. If that were the case, then I think he'd be in a lot of trouble. But as we see, Groove Spine's on the way. 6 Hydra's gonna pop. This is a great way to help deal with a bit of air harass, but also a good way to deal with any sort of gateway aggression, whether it's blank stalkers, whether it's gonna be zealots, sentries. I mean, Hydras are the way to go, guys. Pretty much bottom line. Still doesn't. Okay, does see the base. I was gonna say he's at least got to scout and confirm this is down. I mean, this is pretty harsh to let this get away for so long. A Protoss player taking a 3rd base so uncontested is not often seen in a lot of Korean tournaments. We talk about these players being aggressive. We see players like Life constantly out there with the Lings, but this game Ragnarok has been forced to play a little bit passive. A lot of this came off the back end of Cannon's course. I think one of the things above all else, Cannon's really put you in this weird state of this weird mental state. You know, where you're like, oh, I can't believe this Cannon me. I can't believe it took so much damage from it. You know, you overreact. You might react perfectly in game, but you're mentally overreact. There we go, as I try and struggle past words, but. I like that he's finally starting to add in a bit of Roaches. One of the scary things with Hydras is while they are really, really good, they are also really, really weak. So you need those Roaches to be an extension of their health, to have those out in front of them, to have that little bit of extra buffer. Stalkers are going to push out hard here on the left side. This 4th base is probably going to have to be cancelled, honestly. There's not enough creeps for it to respond appropriately. Groove Spines is done, but the Muscular Augments is far from finished. And people asking what the bets are at, just we'll wait for the attack to begin. We got about 8,000 placed on Stardust and a good 3,000 placed here on Ragnarok. So not super duper skewed, but Revelation does go down in the army. For those who don't know what Revelation looks like, because you don't play Protoss, here's what happens. You don't get the vision of the unit, you get the vision directly around the unit though. You know, he's pushing here like this off of creep. I don't like this choice, especially with the low roach count that he currently has, but how does he have vision of that pilot? Oh, Watchtower. It's like, how could he see that? But makes some sense. But as soon as Ragnarok starts putting on the pressure, here's the scary thing, guys. Look at that overall supply he has right now. Look at the army supply, that value. You know, we talk a lot about raw numbers in StarCraft 2, and while Blink Stalkers are okay, especially with Blink to help them retain themselves, I mean, the sentries are limited on energy. The blink is going to eventually start going off cooldown or on cooldown. But Ragnarok can't take this fight. As much as he's got a big supply lead, he just can't take this fight. It's off of creep. Force Field's come down here pretty slickly out of Stardust. However, doesn't kill that many with them. Time Warp on the right side, but a swoop in here on the left. We'll see if we can get some damage on Blink's over here to try and get on top of the Hydras and through those roaches, but the roaches doing exactly what they meant to do, and that's just soak the hits from the Stalkers here a little bit longer, letting these Hydras live. Stardust starting to get toppled. 109 supply to 31. Game number 1 is gonna go to Ragnarok.